I moved to Nairobi, Kenya. Now I'm saving thousands every month. And I didn't cut back on anything. I just don't have to deal with that New York cost of living. See, I'm building a startup, so every dollar matters. But living in NYC, rent alone was eating half my income. The crazy part is, I was making decent money. Literally, my side hustle alone covered most of my bills. But it never felt like I could truly invest in my dreams. So how I'm saving all this money now? Let me break it down. Rent in NYC, $2,100 for a one-bedroom shoebox. Kenya, that's $800 for a high-rise with a bunch of space and all the amenities you can think of. Groceries, $60 at Trader Joe's, that's probably 3 days tops. $60 in Nairobi, that's over a week of meals easily. Now to get around, of course, the Metro card might run you about $132 a month, and if you got a car, $80 just to fill up. In Kenya, $2 to $5 Ubers practically anywhere, or catch a boater ride for less than $1. Living abroad isn't just cheaper, it's a budgeting hack. See, it's not just about saving money, it's about extending what your money can do. Then give you the capital, go and invest.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen. So in today's episode, we're going to be listening to Black Americans who are living in the capital city of Kenya, which is Nairobi in Africa, right? And they're going to be telling us the experiences living in Africa. And also some of them are going to be telling us what their journey has been like moving from America to Kenya and seeking opportunities.
Right, a lot of the foreigners who come to Africa, not just the white people or Black Americans, provided they're from the West, they all have one thing in common. When they get to the motherland, one thing they say is how Africa has that calming effect they don't experience in the West. So guys, let's watch what we prepared for you and then you come back and talk about it. You can also let us know your thoughts and opinion on the comment section and we'll come back with our commentaries. Remember to subscribe if you haven't yet. Let's watch.
Okay, so one of the saddest things about growing up in the West, growing up in the United States, is that they try to scare you into going to Africa. They don't really tell you how beautiful it is here. I've not even been here a week, and I went with some guys to do a workout up here in a town called Gong. I know probably didn't pronounce it right. And there's this really massive hill. I'm already dying. And I got up high enough to see, like, oh my God, this is beautiful. Like, even the clouds speak a different language. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to turn around so you can have a look at just the view. Dear God. Do you see this? Heaven. Yeah, so this is absolutely amazing. And again, this is only the first, 5 or so days in Nairobi. And I have 3 months here. So who knows what's going to take place, what I'm going to see. It's already so beautiful. It's already so breathtaking. See the animals grazing in the back over there? Beautiful.
Pros and cons of living in Kenya. Let's go. Number one pro is that you look around and everybody looks like you, so everything just feels a little more comfortable. You feel me? You don't have the same problems that you have in other places. Number two, you could go outside, usually anywhere, and find everything you need at the markets. And y'all, I mean everything. They don't tax. It's much better than like the public stores, and you'll just make more friends like that. Everyone is so much more friendly in the markets. They'll even give you discounts, give you extra stuff. So check out the markets. Also, it's very safe around here. I'll say that Kenya feels very safe. The atmosphere is very safe. Everyone's pretty friendly too. Cons, I would just say sometimes the electricity is not really my favorite. If you know, you know. And lastly, do some research on Kenyan law enforcement and you're going to see why that's also.
What was it like? Because you say the culture is different here. You know, what was it like as a African American moving to Africa? Like, what did you feel like there was a difference in how people treated you or how you were treated there? Did you feel a sense of belonging? You know, was there any difference that you felt moving from one country?
Yeah, I would say my first experience was with my ex-wife's family, and they really welcomed me in. You know, at first, so my kid's mom is Somali Kenyan, and I have an Arabic name, and I think, you know, and I can sort of, like, you know, possibly pass for Somali, But I think there was a sort of identification with me as a person, and also, I've traveled a good amount, so I'm not, there are a lot of folks coming from the States who just haven't experienced the world for various reasons, and but that wasn't me. And I had traveled already to Africa. I had lived in Brazil and had certain experiences. So Kenya, to me, actually was a pretty easy place to transition to. I mean, in a lot of ways, there's a lot of kind of Western sort of development and comforts here. And so we could always get Wi-Fi, the roads were relatively good, so certain things, kind of, and even if they weren't, I'm not someone who, I would have made the move anyway, Right. So my first sort of impressions were being welcomed in by this beautiful family. And those are connections that I still maintain until today. I'm in touch with my in-laws and have a very good relationship also with my kid's mom. So so that was the first impressions. And then I think I found Kenya calm in a lot of ways, let's say in comparison to my experiences in Ghana or West Africa or Brazil. So there's sort of a softness to the culture, I think, and the people. They're not loud people typically by comparison to New York.
For sure.
And there's a gentleness. So I make the analogy that I think East Africa in general is more aligned to the element of water, and West Africa would be more fire. If you think of the music and the energy of some of the cities, if it's Lagos, if it's Accra. And so I really came to appreciate that as well. I could, my shoulders could start to soften, and I could sort of move around without, yes, you need to be aware in any city, and of course things go on, but honestly I've had very few major challenges or issues or confrontation. There's been a couple, of course, but nothing, major here. And certainly not more than I experienced in New York or Oakland.
I definitely feel called to Africa. I've always felt like Africa was my home. I always felt connected. The only question was how to get here. So my minor was in African Studies, and I actually went to school here. I worked in the TRC, Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa. My first time in Africa, I think I was 18, and we were working in Chirezi refugee camp in Chirezi, Zimbabwe, with Mozambican refugees. Hey, welcome to my home. I'm Tadre. Come on in. Karibu, karibu. Listen, before you go anywhere, I want to point out this new piece that I had custom made with Bawuli fabric from West Africa. And then we've got this wonderful raffia mirror from Uganda. And then I love this piece that Michael Soy gave to me. He is a famous Kenyan artist, and he gifted this to me on my birthday.
So that's how I'm here in Nairobi. Now present day, I've lived here for almost a year and a half, and we may not have the big financial success yet, but we've helped 20 car rental companies process almost $1 million US dollars in car rentals. And we now have an app that is the easiest way to rent a car. Why Nairobi? The truth is, this goes back 4 years, actually, maybe even a decade. I met someone I would now call a best friend, a co-founder, Brad, who's from Kenya, in university back in North Carolina, halfway across the world, right? We struck up a great friendship. We had similar values. We were both entrepreneurial, and we didn't know much back then, but we bonded over mutual interests. It's a shared perspective, I think, on life. Fast forward to 4 years ago, COVID hits. We're catching up on one of our every 3 to 6 months calls. He's like, Dev, sounds like you're looking for what's next. Why don't you help me build out this business here in Nairobi? We realize that there's a huge need. There's hundreds of small, medium car rental companies doing everything pen and paper here. And I think with your design background, product background, it could be a good fit. A lot of my, colleagues were doing the sexy things in AI or fintech or moving to Silicon Valley. I was always into entrepreneurship and tech because I saw it was an opportunity to flatten the world in a sense, to give those small to medium-sized businesses the ability to compete with bigger companies. Being out in the world has always been the core of who I am. Plus, it was just a good friend of mine. And to me, I want to build business and I want relationships to, at the core, be friendships. To me, business is second, actually, to close relationships. To me, the best businesses form from great relationships with your customers and with your team. The rest will follow suit. So that's how I'm here in Nairobi. Now, present day, I've lived here for almost a year and a half, and we may not have the big financial success yet, but we've helped 20 car rental companies process almost $1 million US dollars in car rentals. And we now have an app that is the easiest way to rent a car. And it's come from just relationships. Being here, boots on the ground, allows me to get to know these business owners and people renting cars and the rest of our team on just a human level. So could not be more grateful for the odd twists and turns of life that have me living in Kenya. I never would have expected it, but I find myself here and I find myself really grateful. We'll see what happens next, but I'm just excited to see what happens. That's it.
So guys, welcome back. This is the reason why we usually say with good research, you can always find a place in Africa that will be best suited for you, especially coming from a first world country, right? Despite the fact that the media tries to scare you out of coming to Africa, most of these people have come to Africa and most of them have even found investment opportunities that they can do. And others are even making countries in Africa, a second home to them after America.
Right. This is not to say that Africa doesn't have its own challenges. It's why we normally say do your own research, right? Mm-hmm. I do believe that whatever anybody is looking for, each gets what they're looking for, because there's somebody who loves nature. There's that environment in every country in Africa. Mm-hmm. For such people. There's someone who's looking at the economic boom or economic part of it. Provided you're doing your research well, you're gonna land in the area you like, and you're gonna have to be ready for the challenges it produces, because I do believe that coming from a first world, it won't exactly be the same. It doesn't matter how developed as a city is in Africa. Exactly. It's always gonna present its own challenges. Like, for example, like we talk about one thing, every foreigner in Kenya, this is something that I feel like it would be a culture shock for Westerners. Every foreigner in Kenya speaks about how lawless Kenyan roads are. And this I'm speaking in terms of, you might see a traffic light in Kenya,
but Kenyans don't see that. It's decoration for them.
Right. Kenyans don't exactly abide by these rules. When you compare that to a country like Rwanda in Africa, Rwanda abides, they're very strict with their traffic laws. Even when you litter, just something as simple as littering or something as simple as doing whatever can get you in serious trouble, yeah? And you might think you're getting away with something, but in Rwanda, the traffic cameras actually take your number plate and they will fine you. They will send you a fine via your phone, so you will get a punishment and you will act accordingly to how they want you to. When you compare that situation with Kenya, Kenya is very different. We do have traffic cameras, we do have traffic lights, but all this is kind of like decorations. People don't really abide by them. So when you come
because of corruption, if you get caught, you can always get your way out of it because of corruption.
Right, provided you're ready to pay something small. That is the upside of corrupt third world countries. When you find yourself in trouble, at least money can get you out of it. And it's normally not expensive. Although I shouldn't be talking about this on camera. But in Kenya, that is basically it. Other than that, you just have to look at the downside a country has, because I can assure you one thing, its downside does not beat the best things you can find in that particular country. Like, the best things you could get to experience are more, the experiences are better compared to the bad things you could experience in that country. And just like I normally say, in every country, there's always a downside and an upside. You just come and get your own experience. Don't rely on other people's experiences.
Right, and those who are planning on moving to Africa, I do believe that the best best way you can at least familiarize yourself with the different countries in Africa is through following Black content creators who've already gone to or have been to that place, because at least from that you can know a thing or two about the country. And the most important thing, I think one of our speakers even mentioned, is also look up the laws of the country where you're going and how strict they are or how loosely they carry themselves in accordance to the law, right?
And another thing I feel like I have to mention, there was one speaker who was talking about he had was it Ethiopian or Somali wife, yeah? And also I wanted to clarify something, because I realized a lot of people from the West, when you talk about East Africa, a lot of them are familiar with the Somali community and the Ethiopians, yeah? But I can tell you Africa has how many countries? 54 countries. And in these 54 countries, each country has a lot of tribes. Like, for example, in Kenya alone, we have tribes, how many?
50 plus
tribes, because right now we even started recognizing the Indians who are in Kenya, right? So we have a lot of tribes, 50 plus. So when you're coming into East Africa, do not expect to see only people who look like the Somali type or the Somali type. In Kenya alone, we have 57. Us, when you look at us, we are from the Luo community. We live in Kenya, right? And each tribe has its own unique marker. When you look at them, only people who've been raised and bred in Kenya could know that this is from a certain tribe, this one is from a certain tribe. But for foreigners, it may
look the same.
We all look the same, yeah. But once you start living in Kenya, you will realize
the difference of people from different tribes.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Why am I saying this? It's not to give you anxiety, trust me. It's just to tell you that there's a lot of a diverse community in Africa, that when you come, you definitely gonna find somewhere where you're gonna blend in, and people who you're gonna just your tribe, you know.
Right. And also the guy who was saying he was married to half Somali, half Kenyan woman, right? And he said something very interesting, that his in-laws had given him an Arabic name. So when you come to Africa, particularly Kenya, I don't know how the other countries conduct their affairs, but when you step into Kenya for the first time, people will try to categorize you into a tribe and give you a new name that will make you feel more Kenyan.
Right, and that they will base your tribal name based off of the features you have, you know. So when Black Americans say, you know, we are not all the same, I do get that statement, but when you come into Kenya, you definitely gonna fit somewhere. Yeah, like we had some Black American friends who came into the country, and depending on who you're interacting with, they're gonna give you a name from a tribe they think you best belong in, right? So these Black American friends of ours, the lady was a little bit light-skinned and the guy was dark-skinned, right? And we asked them, have you already received a tribal name? And they were lying.
Name?
Right. And before they answered that, we told them we'd like to give them a name based off of the tribe we think they would come from, had they been born in Africa, right? And we gave them, the lady, we told her she looked like she came from the Kamba tribe. Kambas in Kenya are light-skinned people, right? And the guy, we told him he looked like he came from the either Kikuyu tribe, or I don't remember the other tribe, but Kikuyu predominantly, because of the features he had, you know. And surprisingly, they told us that at least the lady,
well, they had been told the same by different Kenyans they met on their journey, yeah?
Right?
Yeah.
So all this is to say that when you come here, definitely you're gonna be feeling at home, and it depends on the kind of experience you want to find in Africa. Is it the touristic experience you want, or
a more local interaction?
Exactly.
Right. And also when you come, obviously where there is good, there must be evil. And the thing we usually tell foreigners in any country, I believe it's not just Kenya or Africa, also in European countries or anywhere else, right? When you go into a place, obviously there's someone who will want to scam you because you don't yet know how the system works in that new place. So those are some of the things you should be very, very, you should be looking out for, right?
Yeah, scam you in terms of maybe wanting to overprice you for an item that would not be selling for that much. But this even happens also to Kenyans in the country. For example, let's say I live in Nairobi. If I go to a different part, like let's say, for example, Kisumu,
or a different city in Kenya,
right, they will definitely tell that I'm from Nairobi, I'm not from Kisumu, and they would try and sell something at a different price than what they sell to the locals there, you know. So that is something very normal. But one advice I want to give you is, in America, I don't know if people bargain for items or haggle for prices. You know, when you come to Kenya, don't ever buy at the price you're being told, because
you should learn how to
haggle for prices. You might be surprised you'd get a better price for an item you want to buy, you know. Right. So guys, let us know what you think about this episode on the comment section. Also consider subscribing if it's your first time here, and we'll catch you on our next episode. Thank you so much for joining in.